Now we are in the meat of the matter. We are back now into actually creating the plan. So our minds are in the right place. So now we're actually going to create the plan that will enable us permanently reclaim his love, attention, interest, and respect. So what I want you to do is, I want you to bring out a sheet of paper. And on one side of the sheet of paper, from top to bottom, you're going to write the 4 dimensions. Remember the 4 dimensions that we talked about to your man? The physical, the emotional, the intellectual, and the spiritual. So line 1, you would have physical. Line 2, you would have emotional. Line 3, intellectual. Line 4, you would have spiritual. And then on line 5, 6, and 7, we will have the 3 key issues that cause quarrels between couples. So the first one, you would have sex. The second one, you would have past hurts. And then the third one, you would have finance. All listed from top to bottom. Done? Good. And then you would now write out on the, so remember this is listed on top to bottom on the left hand side of your paper. On the right hand side of the paper, I hope I'm correct, I actually have no idea of left and right. I actually have to put my hand to my mouth, but since this is a video recording, I cannot put my hand to my mouth. So you have your issues listed on one side. Directly opposite it, you're going to write what are you going to do differently in your situation now with your spouse. So example, we talked about the physical needs. Remember we talked about these are the needs that have to do with his body. So sex, food, making him look presentable. What are those physical needs that he has? What do you think that you could do better in that dimension? I want you to write that out in the physical. You go to the emotional. Remember emotional, we talked about being a companion. A companion is someone that you enjoy their company. Does your husband enjoy your company? What can you change to make him enjoy your company? What can you do extra for him to make you better enjoy your company, assuming he enjoys this today? So what are you going to do differently to be a best friend to your husband? I want you to write that out just by the side of the emotional. Same thing for intellectual. We talked about his mind and then the things that he's focused on. So what's your husband focused on now? Is he trying to get example promoted? Is he trying to expand his business? What are the things that you can do to help him achieve this? So if he's trying to expand his business, and for example, you have a network of 7,000 followers, or you have 2,000 followers, or you just have this ability to influence people. There's a lady that I absolutely love. When she's selling her husband's market here, I'm just so wowed. That is a woman that understands the place of being a helper in the things that have to do with what is your husband's priority. So what's your husband's priority today? And then how can you help him achieve it in faster timings, better quality, or with both? You need to write that out there. And then in spiritual, remember I said that as women, we have no control per se directly over this, but we know the one that has access to this area. What are the things that you think you could do better for your husband? Do you want to pray for him better? Do you want to pray for him? What do you want to do on this dimension? Write it out. So now we would have covered the 4 dimensions and what you're going to do differently. The 5th, 6th, and 7th, remember the key issues or the key points, friction, tension points in relationships between couples. Do you have issues across these 3 areas? If you have issues or you experience friction when it comes to lovemaking, what's the cause? What are you going to do differently? So you have to fill that part out as well. If you don't have any issues around that area, please just write not applicable, just put a dash. You are amazing already. And then you move to the next one, past hurts. If you have no past hurts, leave it blank. But if you do, what are those past hurts? What are you going to do differently? And then you get down to money. Same thing on money. What are you going to do differently? How are you going to try to create a win-win solution for your home? At the end of the day, what you should have is a sheet of paper that has the dimensions and the issues on one side and what you're going to do differently. Now, given that there are 7 core areas, assuming you have I mean, if you're like me, sometimes you might have like up to 20 action points in that place. It's not sustainable. So the plan that we want is a plan that is all-encompassing, which is what we have today. It's all-encompassing because it touches all the dimensions, it touches all the issues. Remember, the key reason I told you, one key reason why people continually have repeated friction points in their marriage is because you're addressing only one or two dimensions and not everything. Now, with this plan, you need to ensure that you address everything, and which is what we've done. The second thing now is that you need to ensure that the action points that you've enumerated for yourself are realistic and they are focused. If there are 20, you cannot achieve 20 of them. You will forget some. So can we work with the top 5 to 7? What are the big areas? This is where I say we pace the plan. So you have a phase 1, and sincerely, if you fix the big issues in phase 1, you might not even have a phase 2. So look through those your 20 action points or whatever. I mean, if you have 100, you are serious. So look through all your action points and let's reduce it to 5 to 7, still ensuring that it is all encompassing. So it touches all the dimensions. You need to get that. So you don't take your 5 to 7 action points from just one dimension or from just one issue. Okay? So hopefully you've looked through, you've reduced it, and now you have 5 to 7. Now you have 5 to 7. The next thing that you need to note is that you need to enlist, you may need to enlist external support if needed. What do I mean by external support? Let's be very, very clear. I'm not a fan of the issues that you have with your husband, you bring in a third party. It never works. If you should bring in a third party, it should be the Holy Spirit. Now, when I say external support here, I mean like, so for example, your husband has stopped coming home on time. So you know he stays at work late. But somewhere in the actions, you have said that you want to do romantic dinner for him. So have romantic, something, I don't know, maybe a romantic dinner. But that means you need him home by 7 o'clock. So enlisting external support here would be, does he have a trusted friend that you can confide in that would ensure that he makes him come back home on time? So that's why I said external support where needed. And this needs to be someone that you trust, someone that the unity of your home is important to. You need to be able to discern this, because it's not everybody that smiles with you that actually wants your home to be in peace and unity. So you also need to get this. Okay? So now we have all the actions. We have actions that are all encompassing. That means they touch all the dimensions. We have actions that are focused and they are realistic. And we have actions where you need to also call out external support if it's needed. The final thing about your plan, now that you have it in place, is that you have to have a mindset of excellence. You need to execute with excellence. I mean, if you stay around me for a day, you will hear me say execute with excellence at least 5 times. Why? Because it's so important. In brand management, we say execution is all the consumer sees. So all this planning that we are doing here, all this listening to this video, your husband has no clue. He might never even know. All the work that you've put into thinking about this process, he might never ever know. What is he going to see? He's going to see your plan when it comes to life. So you need to ensure that your plan is so wow, that all the effort that you have put in makes sense. What does this mean? You have to think extra. So back to our example of a romantic dinner. You want a romantic dinner for your husband. Please don't wait for the last minute before you confirm from the restaurant that the reservation is made. Everything needs to work like clockwork. This is an initiative. It's a campaign. Like, everything needs to work like clockwork. Treat it like a project that you're managing. Everything needs to fall in place at the right time. Okay? So think extra. How do I blow his mind? How does this absolutely wow him? Without breaking the bank. You don't necessarily have to break the bank. Just be mindful of the details, because it's those details that are going to affect the big picture of what you're trying to do. Apart from thinking extra, you also need to have a new spirit, for lack of a better word. But you need to execute with a heart of prayer, constantly asking, God, how do I make this better? Please crown my efforts with glory. You need to execute with a heart of love. Love is patient, love is kind, love bears no grudges, love is not irritable. You need to execute with a heart of love. I will not be irritated, I will not be upset, I will forgive, I will love, I will give myself. You need to execute with a heart of faith, believing that the actions that you're doing today will yield fruit. Remember the Rosenthal-Pygmalion effect we talked about? Higher expectations always will bring about higher performance. Execute with a heart of faith. And then finally, you need to execute with a spirit of service. How can I serve this man better? How can I be a better wife to him? How can I win my way back? You win your way back with service. Jesus served his disciples. There's something in service. So, in conclusion, we've talked about your plan. Remember, it should be all-encompassing. It should be focused and realistic, not more than 5 to 7 actions. You will enlist external support where needed, external support that you trust, that has the interest of your family at heart. And finally, you will execute with excellence. You will be wow, like you will literally blow his mind. And when you do, you let me know.